Well, welcome. Today, I'm going to talk about why is your brain sabotaging your AI success. If you've been feeling kind of paralyzed about AI, overwhelmed by the tools, frozen by all the choices, stressed out about being left behind, here's what nobody is telling you, which is it's not your fault, right? It's your neuroscience. So, welcome to my episode, The Mariana Dalto Show. I am going to show you today exactly how your brain is wired to resist the AI revolution, and more importantly, how to rewire it so you can thrive instead of just survive. So here is the uncomfortable truth. There are now over 170 language models and about 40,000 plus AI tools. And every day, you get, five new newsletters that hit your inbox. Every week, someone will tell you like, the next big thing. And you can't just, you feel like you cannot afford miss any of that information. And what happens to your brain? Well, it's doing exactly what it's designed to do, which is shutting down under the weight of too much change and too fast. But here's what I learned from behavioral neuroscience researchers and entrepreneurs who build billion-dollar companies, and they are experts on this topic. So the people who win with this AI era aren't the ones that know most of the tools that they are out there in the market. They are the ones who have mastered their mindset and build their adaptation muscle. So today I wanna teach you. I want you to learn a few things. Why your brain, Asian brain, is fighting modern change, which is what we've been experiencing day in and day out, and the three priorities that make adaptation your brain's fourth concern. And it's not the first concern, it's the fourth concern. Then we will talk about the four invisible barriers blocking 90% of people from taking action on AI: limiting beliefs, fear, identity mismatch, and lack of knowledge. And then I want to talk about a proven four-step neuroscience process to calm your nervous system, clarify your vision, and take strategic action even when you feel overwhelmed. So if you've been stuck in learning mode, but not implementing mode, and that's something that I see that all the time. If you're tired of feeling behind, if you're ready to stop letting your brain's fear circuit control your future, this episode will change everything for you. Okay? So let's dive in. So let's start first with some context. So AI isn't just another threat that will fade in a few years. This is a fundamental shift in how how value gets created in the world. So think about it this way. The agricultural revolution changed where we lived, moving humanity from nomadic tribes to settled communities, right? The industrial revolution changed how we worked, moving us from manual labor to mechanized production. Then the internet changed how we are connected, right? Collapsing distance and creating a global nervous system. But what about AI? AI changes who does the work, and that's fundamentally different. Right now, there are over 170 major language models. There are over 40,000 AI tools, and those numbers are growing every single day. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, that is not a personal failing. That is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. So here's what most people don't understand. Your brain has not evolved for this moment. You are carrying around 100 billion computers in your skull, the most complex structure in the known universe. But it was built for a very different world, a world where change happens slowly, a world where the survival strategies that worked yesterday will probably work tomorrow, right? The agent, wiring is still running the show in your brain. And when faced with massive uncertainty and rapid change, your brain defaults to the core priorities. And there's three core priorities. Number one, for the brain, the first priority for the brain is safety and survival. So your brain's number one job is to keeping you alive. So when it perceives threat or uncertainty, alarms will go off on your brain. So that's the first job. The second priority for the brain is to avoid pain. So your brain will naturally steer you away from anything that feels uncomfortable, difficult, or emotionally challenging. And the third job for the brain, the priority, is for energy conservation. So this is the sneaky one because your brain is incredible energy efficient. It doesn't want to build new neural pathways, learn new skills, or change established patterns because change requires massive amount of energy. And here is the problem. Success, growth, and adaptation are only the fourth priority for your brain. So they come after staying safe, avoiding discomfort, and conserving energy. So when you see another AI tool launch, another newsletter about prompt engineering, another expert saying you need to learn this now, your brain interprets that as a threat. The reptilian part of the brain, the survival center, kicks into a high alert. The limbic system, your emotional center, starts pumping out stress chemicals. And suddenly you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and paralyzed. So this is why so many smart, capable people are freezing right now instead of moving forward. It is not a character flaw from you as a person. It's really neuroscience. But here's the good news. Once you understand the mechanics of how your brain works, you can work with it instead of fighting or going against it. You can give your higher brain the driver's seat, okay? So let's get into specifics so that we can get a little bit more in detail on this. So when it comes to adapting to AI, most people hit four major barriers. And until you recognize these barriers in yourself, you will keep kind of spinning your wheels. So let's go to these barriers so then we can go deeper. So the barrier number one is limited beliefs. There are stories you tell yourselves about how you can or you cannot do something. You can say to yourself, I am too old to learn this stuff. I am not too techy. This is for engineers and programmers, not like people like me. I tried to learn coding once and failed, so I'm not really built for this. And here is the truth. You weren't born with any of these beliefs. You learned them. And what's learned can be unlearned. So the question is whether you are capable, it's whether you are willing to change the story you've been telling yourself. Okay? So let's go to now barrier number two, which is fear. This one really runs deeper than most people realize. And yes, there's fear of failure, of trying something new and looking foolish. But there are other fear kind of lurking beneath the surface. And that will be fear of wasting time on the wrong tools, fear of being judged by others, fear of being left behind, or even fear of success itself. Like, because if you achieve something and then you can sustain it, what happens, right? So these fears will trigger your brain survival circuits. They release cortisol and adrenaline, which are the stress neurochemicals, which literally will shut down the motivational centers of your brain. And that's why fear doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it actually makes you less capable of taking action. Okay, now let's move to barrier number 3, which is the identity mismatch. And this is the most subtle but potentially most powerful barrier. Your identity, your sense of who you are, acts like a thermostat for your life. You will never sustain success that's bigger than your current self-image. And think about the example of the lottery winners. Studies show that 87% of them lose all their money within a few years. And the question is why this happens, right? Because their identity says, I'm not that kind of person, who manages millions of dollars. So they unconsciously sabotage themselves back to their familiar identity. If your identity says, I am not a tech person, or I am someone who struggles with change, then no matter how good the tools are or how clear the instructions are, you will find ways to procrastinate, to self-sabotage, and to stay exactly where you're at. The work isn't just learning the tools, it's upgrading your identity to I am adaptionist, meaning I can adapt, and I am change ready. I can change. Okay? And then let's move to barrier number 4, which is the lack of knowledge and skills. This is the one that most people focus on, and it's important. So when you don't know what you do, or how to do it, or when to do it, or in what order, your brain generates doubt and uncertainty. And doubts triggers the fear circuit, which deactivates the motivational circuit. So you end up in this loop, not knowing, and makes you afraid, and that will make you less motivated to learn, which will keep you not knowing, that's the circle, right? So here's the key insights. You don't overcome this barrier by trying to learn everything. That is impossible because you're not going to be able to learn 40,000 AI tools. You will never master them, and you don't really need to either. So all you only need to do is, it's a process, is to understand. It's a step-by-step framework that will reduce cognitive load and builds momentum through small wins, which bring us to the 4-step adaptation process. And this is where the solution comes in. So this is where we flip the script. Instead of letting your Asian brain run on autopilot, we're going to activate your prefrontal cortex, your executive control center brain. And here is the 4-step process that will actually rewire your brain for adaptation. So step number 1, you want to calm the circuits. When stress is high and clarity is low, you cannot think strategically when your nervous system is in the fight or flight mode. And here I'm going to teach you a tool that will help you with that. So first, you want to take 6 slow breaths. You will breathe in slowly through your nose, filling your lungs completely. Then you will breathe out evenly, more slowly through your mouth as you are breathing through a straw. This isn't just a relaxation advice. This is neuroscience. Slow breathing activates your vagus nerve, which switches your nervous system from sympathetic, which is the fight or flight, into parasympathetic, which is rest and digest mode. It literally changes your brain chemistry, lowers fear signals, and brings your prefrontal cortex back online. And remember, you have 2 parts of your brain. When you're stressed, overwhelmed, and afraid, you can't access the other part of the brain. The 6 breath technique put the other part of the brain back in the driver's seat. So that's what you want. When you feel stressed, do the 6 breath, and that's going to calm you down, and then you're going back in charge. Step 2, you want to clarify your vision and your goals. Your brain thrives on direction. It needs to know what you want, why you want it, and why you want it now. And this is about creating, neuroscientists call the neuroscientists, they call that sympathetic coherence, when all the systems in your brain and your body are aligned and working towards the goal. And that's why you always hear, business coaches, advisors to help understand and identify what are your goals, because having that clarity, it'll move you forward to get to what you want to achieve, right? So ask yourself, what's my vision for my life? Not just my business, but my whole life. What specific goals do I want to achieve in the next 3, 6, or 12 months? And why I do this now and not next year? Why do I want to achieve this goal now? This is so important to identify the vision for your life, the goals that you want to achieve in a specific time period, and why you want it now. And here's why the now is critical. Your brain needs urgency to overcome its default setting of energy conservation. Without the urgency, it always will find a reason to delay. Write this down. So you want to be specific, and you want to say, I want to use AI to free up 10 hours a week so I can spend more time with my family. That is a more powerful statement that saying, I should probably learn AI, right? That's huge from a goal standpoint to identify the why. And then step 3, you want to commit fully. There's a difference between being interested and being committed. So interested people will dabble. They watch videos, they bookmark articles, sign up for newsletters, but they don't fundamentally change anything. Committed people, on the other hand, adjust their beliefs, upgrade their identity, and align their daily actions with their vision. They treat obstacles as puzzles to solve rather than reasons to quit. And that's why the commitment is so important. I think about it like learning, if you're learning the Rubik Cube, if you're interested in learning the Rubik Cube, you will twist it randomly for a few minutes, get frustrated, and give up. But if you're committed to learn how to play with the Rubik Cube and make it work, you will find a teacher, learn the algorithm, practice the patterns, fail dozens of times, but eventually will solve it because you're committed to learn about it and to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, right? So the same applies with AI. Commitment means I will find the right teachers. I will create space in my calendar. I will practice even when it's uncomfortable, and I will adjust my approach based on results. Okay? Now, let's move to step 4, which is let's talk about how to build your adaptation muscle, the process of think, plan, do, and review. And this is basically a daily cycle. When we talk about think, use your brain to strategize. How will I approach this? What is the right next step? That's how you think, right? Then once you thought about it, when you have the strategy, then you will plan. So now we want to break it down. Don't try to learn everything at once. What's the smallest useful action that you can take today will be kind of like the right process. Just grab a small action and try today. Then you want to take action, be willing to be a clumsy beginner. You are not going to be good at it immediately, whatever you're trying to learn, and that it's okay. And progress beats perfection. You want to be consistent. You want to have progress, and you will get better at it. And then review. At the end of each day, each week, each month, what did I learn? Ask yourself, what did I learn? What worked? What needs adjustment? You have a strategy in place, and that's important to start, right? You take action, but then you need to look at what worked and what didn't, and then what needs to be adjusted. And that's part where the consistency comes in. Don't give up. Okay. So this cycle activates your brain's error detection mechanism, which is essentially a GPS system that helps you your course correct in real time. So the more you practice this cycle, the stronger your adaptation muscle becomes, right? Now, excuse me, tools and knowledge matter, but mindset and commitment matters more. And excuse me, I love talking about mindset and commitment because that made a big difference in my life and how I made so much progress in my last 20 years in business. So I really want to emphasize the importance of it. You can have access to every AI tool in the world, but without the commitment, they will just sit there unused. With commitment, you will find the right tools, learn them, and leverage them to transform your life. Okay? So here's the bottom line. The AI wave is already here. Your brain may resist at first, and I know everyone is going through that right now. You know, your brain may be throwing up fear, doubt, overwhelm, limiting beliefs, but you don't have to let that part of your brain drive that, right? Instead, as we talk today, calm your circuits, take these 6 slow breaths when you feel overwhelmed, clarify your vision and your goals, get crystal clear on what you want and why you want it now. Commit fully, not just interested, but truly commit to the path, whatever you choose to do. And then cycle through the think, plan, do, and review every single day. Do that exercise. That will really help you get better and get that muscle going. And start saying this to yourself. I am adaptionist. I am change ready. I can do this. So your identity shapes your actions. Your actions shapes your results. So start with your identity in the first place. And remember, you don't need to master all 40,000 AI tools that they are in the market. You just need the right 5 tools for where you are right now, for where you want to accomplish on your why. You don't need more information. You need the right information at the right time, ideally with trusted guides who can filter the noise. That's why having an advisor, a coach, a consultant who can help you identify the right tools and the right strategy is key for this in this moment. So this moment isn't about surviving, it's about thriving. If today's episode resonated with you, I would love for you to share it with someone that maybe today is navigating, this AI transformation and needs some help. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is giving them permission to be a clumsy beginner, and remind them that adaptation is a skill that you can build. And if you want to go deeper into building AI power systems, strengthening your adaptation muscle, check out my website at marianadalto.com. I have resources, I have frameworks and ways we can work together to get you to where you want to get in life and to meet your goals. And until next time, remember, you have an $100 billion brain. You just need to learn how to use it. Okay? All right. See you next time.